The school bell rang. Children ran out in groups, their laughter echoing in the air. But one boy didn't laugh. He stood near the swings, quiet, holding a wrinkled paper in his hand. His name was Rumi. He was 11 years old, small for his age, with soft brown hair and deep eyes that looked like they were always thinking. His voice was soft, so soft that sometimes people didn't hear him at all. That morning, Rumi had asked his mom, "Can I take art class after school?" She was stirring a pot on the stove. "No, Rumi, we don't have time for that," she said quickly. He tried asking again, gentler this time. "But I finished all my homework yesterday." "I said no," she repeated, without looking up. He folded the paper and placed it in his bag. At school, things weren't much better. He asked the tall boy on the bench, "Can I sit here?" The boy didn't even look at him. He just spread his legs wider. Later, in class, Rumi raised his hand. "Miss, can I lead the reading today?" The teacher smiled, but not at him. "Not today, Rumi. Let Maya do it." By lunchtime, Rumi felt like a ghost. No one noticed him. No one said yes. He sat alone at the back of the library and opened his notebook. On one page, he had drawn a picture of a dream, a small robot, a smiling dog, and a happy Rumi holding a trophy. Beneath the picture, he wrote, "Why do people always say no to me?" He stared at the words. His heart felt heavy. Just then, something strange happened. A tiny glowing feather, soft, golden, and floating, landed next to his drawing. He blinked. It wasn't a pencil shaving. It wasn't glitter. It shimmered like sunlight trapped in a tiny flame. He reached for it, slowly. And the moment his finger touched it, a soft voice, not loud, but clear, whispered inside his mind, "The world says no until you learn how to ask with your heart." Rumi jumped and looked around. No one was there. Only books and silence, and the glowing feather, now gently tucked between the pages. That night, as he lay in bed, he looked out the window. The moon was round and quiet. "Ask with your heart," he whispered. What did that mean? He wanted to know, because Rumi didn't want to feel invisible anymore. He didn't want to hear no every time. He wanted to change things. But how? And that's when the journey began. The next day was Saturday. The sun peeked through Rumi's window like it was trying to give him a warm smile. But Rumi wasn't smiling. He sat by the window, watching kids ride bicycles and play with kites in the park across the street. He didn't want to ask anyone to play. They'd probably say no. Still, something inside him, maybe the memory of the glowing feather, tugged at his heart. A little voice said, "Go outside today." He grabbed his notebook, the one with the drawing of his dream, and walked slowly toward the park. It was noisy with laughter, dogs barking, and the gentle rustling of trees. Rumi sat on a quiet wooden bench beneath a big old tree, away from the crowd. He opened his notebook again and looked at the words he had written. "Why do people always say no to me?" Then he added a second line. "How'd I ask with my heart? That's a very big question for such a small boy," came a voice from beside him. Rumi jumped. He hadn't seen anyone sitting there. But now, right next to him on the same bench, sat a very old man with a white beard like snow and eyes like warm tea. He wore a faded coat and held a wooden cane with a carved eagle on top. Rumi blinked. Where did you come from?" The man chuckled. "I've been here all morning. You were just too quiet to notice." Rumi stared. Something about this old man felt magical. Not like wizards in books. More like someone who understood things. The old man pointed to Rumi's notebook. "That's a good question. Most grown-ups never ask that." "You saw it?" Rumi asked, surprised. "Not just saw it. I've heard it in your heart." Rumi wasn't sure if he should be scared. But he wasn't. He felt safe. "Do you know the answer?" he asked. The old man smiled gently. "I know part of it. But the full answer? That's something you'll have to discover yourself." "Can you tell me anything?" Rumi asked, his eyes wide with hope. The man looked at the sky. Most people try to get what they want by asking louder, demanding more, or pretending they're bigger than they are. Rumi nodded slowly. That's what he saw in school every day. "But that's not the way," the man said softly. "The secret is this." Rumi leaned in. "If you want someone to say yes to you, really say yes, then you must first make them feel important." Rumi blinked. "Make them feel important?" The man nodded. "When people feel seen, heard, and valued, their hearts open." And once their hearts open, they want to give you something back. Rumi sat quietly, thinking. Let me show you something, the old man said, pulling a tiny leather pouch from his coat pocket. He opened it and took out a small, blank book with soft white pages. The cover was gold and shiny. He handed it to Rumi. The cover read, The Magic of Asking, What is this? Rumi whispered, holding the book with both hands. A guide, the man said. Not full of answers, but full of keys. Keys to open hearts, unlock kindness, and receive what you truly want, like a spell book? Rumi asked. More powerful than spells, the man replied. Because this magic is real. It's inside your words, your actions, your feelings. Rumi opened the first page. It was blank, but it felt like it was waiting for him. I don't understand yet, Rumi said. You will, the old man smiled. Start small. Watch how people react when you make them feel seen. Watch how a real thank you can shine brighter than a diamond. Watch how the world responds when you care. Rumi looked at the book again. Will I see you again? The old man stood slowly, his cane tapping the ground. Maybe, or maybe, when you've learned enough, you'll become someone else's guide. He turned to leave. Wait, Rumi called out. What's your name? The man looked back and winked. Names don't matter as much as hearts do. But if you must call me something, call me, Whisper. And with that, he walked away, disappearing behind the trees as if he were never there. Rumi sat in silence. His hands held the small golden book tightly. His heart beat a little faster. He opened his own notebook and wrote, Step 1, make others feel important. That is the first key. The park felt different now. Bigger, quieter, full of possibilities. Rumi looked up at the sky, where clouds floated like sleepy ships. Okay, he whispered to the wind. I'm ready to learn. Rumi woke up the next morning with something he hadn't felt in a long time, hope. He held the small golden book tight under his pillow. Its cover still glowed faintly, as if whispering, Today is a good day to learn. Downstairs, the morning was loud. His dad was trying to fix the toaster. His mom was talking on the phone. Plates clattered. The dog barked next door. Rumi felt like his soft voice would just disappear into the noise. But then he remembered the old man's words, Start small. Make them feel important. He took a deep breath and walked to the kitchen. His mom was rushing with a cup of tea in one hand and a folder in the other. Instead of asking for anything, Rumi said quietly, Mama, can I help you with something? She stopped, surprised. Help me? She asked, blinking. He nodded. You look busy. Her eyes softened for a second. Oh, that's very kind, Rumi. Could you put the toast on the plate for me? He smiled. Yes, Mama. He placed the warm toast carefully on a plate. He even poured her tea into her favorite mug, the one with yellow sunflowers. Then, without asking for anything, he said, Thank you for working so hard every day. His mom stared at him. For a moment, her eyes shimmered. No one's ever said that to me before, she whispered. Rumi felt his chest warm up. Later, on the way to school, he thought, that wasn't hard. I didn't ask for anything. But, she smiled. She really smiled. He opened the little golden book. A line appeared on the first page in shiny, magical letters. Kindness is the first key. Gratitude unlocks the second door. At school, things were still noisy. Kids ran. Backpacks slammed into desks. But Rumi walked quietly to his seat. His desk partner was Nadia, a girl who always brought colorful markers and a loud voice. Today, she seemed tired. Her head rested on her arms. Rumi looked at her, then softly said, I like your markers. You're really good at coloring. Nadia lifted her head slowly. Huh? What did you say? I like your art, he repeated, this time with a smile. Nadia blinked. Oh, thanks. That's nice. She sat up straighter and handed him one of her glitter pens. Here, she said, use this for your title. Rumi took it carefully. Thank you. Later that day, the class was noisy again. The teacher raised her voice. Quiet. We need someone to collect the papers. Before anyone else could shout, Rumi stood and said, Please, can I do it today? He didn't shout. He didn't wave his arms. He just looked her in the eyes and said, Please, like he meant it. The teacher looked surprised. Rumi? Sure. Go ahead. Gasps filled the room. Rumi smiled as he collected the papers. For the first time, someone had said yes to him at school. During lunch, he sat near a group of kids he used to avoid. They played card games and laughed loudly. He didn't ask to join. He just sat nearby, quietly, and watched. One of the boys dropped a juice box. Rumi quickly picked it up and handed it back. "Here you go." "Thanks," the boy muttered. Then he added, "You wanna play?" Rumi's heart jumped. "Really?" "Yeah, you seem cool." That night, Rumi walked home with a different feeling. It wasn't magic from the sky. It was something growing inside him, like confidence. He opened the golden book again. Another shimmering line appeared. "People don't remember your words. They remember how you made them feel." Rumi wrote in his notebook, "Step 2. Kind words are like keys. Please opens the door. Thank you keeps it open." Back at home, his dad sat in the living room with tools and screws everywhere. Rumi walked over. "Need help, Baba?" His father raised an eyebrow. "You know how to fix things?" "No," Rumi giggled, "but I can hand you tools." His father laughed for the first time in days. "Deal." They worked side by side. Rumi handed the wrench, the screwdriver, the tiny screws. He watched closely, curious. When they finished, the shelf they built looked perfect. "Wow," Rumi said. "You're really smart, Baba." His dad looked at him, shocked. "No one's ever said that to me." "Well, you are." His dad ruffled Rumi's hair and whispered, "You're a good boy." Rumi held that moment like treasure. Later, before bed, his mother came in with a soft blanket. "I'm proud of you today." "Why?" he asked. "You've been different, kinder, quieter, but louder in all the right ways." Rumi looked up. "Mama, can I ask something now?" She smiled. "Of course. Can I join the art class next week?" She paused, then nodded slowly. "Yes, I think you've earned it." Rumi almost jumped out of bed. "Thank you," he whispered. His mom leaned in and kissed his forehead. "Thank you, my sweet boy." That night, Rumi dreamed of stars and shining doors with golden keys. One by one, he opened them, not with force, not with shouting, but with kindness, respect, and a heart full of good intentions. He whispered in his sleep, "Please. Thank you. I see you. You matter." It was a rainy Thursday. The sky was gray, and the wind played with the leaves like they were paper boats. Most kids rushed home from school, umbrellas bobbing like jellyfish in the wind, but Rumi didn't rush. He liked the rain. It made the world quieter, softer, like the sky was whispering secrets to the earth. As he walked past the playground near his house, he heard something that didn't belong to the rain. A whimper. He stopped. There it was again, a tiny, shaky sound coming from behind the rusty slide. He stepped closer and gasped. There, curled up in a cardboard box, was a small, soaked puppy. Its fur was white with brown spots, and its eyes were wide and scared. It shivered as the rain dripped down its little nose. Rumi knelt beside the box. "Oh no, are you lost?" The puppy looked at him and let out a weak, hopeful bark. Rumi took off his school sweater and gently wrapped the puppy inside it. The puppy leaned into his arms like it had been waiting for kindness all day. "I'll call you Miso," Rumi whispered, remembering the warm soup his mom made when he was sick. He knew he couldn't leave it there. But he also knew, taking it home wouldn't be easy. Rumi burst through the door, rainwater still dripping from his shoes. "Mama, Baba," he called. "Please, come quick." His parents came rushing in, then froze when they saw what he was holding. His mom's eyes widened. "Rumi, what is that?" "It's a puppy," he said, gently revealing Misa's tiny face. She was alone in the rain. His dad frowned. "Rumi, we can't keep a dog in this house." His heart dropped. "But she's small, and cold, and she has no one." His mom shook her head. "We already said no to pets before. We're busy. We don't have time." "But I didn't just want her," Rumi said. "I couldn't leave her." His parents looked at each other. Their faces were tired, the kind of tired that doesn't sleep away. "I'll take care of her," Rumi promised. "I'll feed her, clean after her, walk her. You won't even have to ask." His mom sighed. "Rumi, this is..." Before she could finish, Rumi did something different. He didn't beg. He didn't cry. He simply walked to the kitchen, got a towel, and started drying the puppy gently. He filled a bowl with warm water. He sat on the floor and sang softly to her as she closed her eyes. His mom watched. Her fingers slowly stopped wringing the dish towel. His father sat down, silently, and reached out a hand to pat the puppy's head. Miso licked his fingers. She's gentle, his father said. She's scared, Rumi replied. But she's trying to be brave. Something flickered in his mother's eyes. Just like you. Later that evening, the three of them sat at the table. The puppy was curled on a cushion nearby, sleeping peacefully. I've never seen you care so deeply for anything, his mother said softly. You didn't ask us to say yes, his father added. You showed us why we should. Rumi looked at them both. I didn't want to take her because she was cute. I took her because I know how it feels to be small. To be alone. To feel invisible. His mother's hand slowly covered his. You're not invisible anymore, sweetheart, his father nodded. Let's give her a trial week. Rumi blinked. Really? She stays. But you must take responsibility, his dad said firmly, but with a hidden smile. Rumi's face lit up. Yes, I promise. He turned to the sleeping puppy. Welcome home, Miso. That night, as Rumi lay in bed with Miso curled beside him, he opened the golden book. Another glowing line appeared. Sometimes the best way to ask is not with words, but with actions. He grabbed his notebook and wrote, Step 3, show your heart. Don't just ask, prove that you care. Let your actions do the asking. He hugged the puppy close. You changed everything, he whispered. Miso wagged her tiny tail in her sleep. The next few days, something in Rumi changed. He woke up earlier. He fed Miso, cleaned her little messes, walked her in the garden. He even offered to help around the house without being asked. Rumi, his mom said one morning, you've grown. I've just started using my heart, he replied quietly. At school, something else happened. He noticed another boy, Sammy, sitting alone at recess, hugging his knees. Rumi remembered the cardboard box. The rain. The shiver. He walked over and sat beside Sammy without a word. After a long silence, Rumi said, I found a puppy in the rain. She was scared. Sammy looked at him slowly. What did you do? I didn't ask if I could help. I just did. Because I knew what she needed. Sammy blinked. Rumi added, sometimes people don't say what they need. But if you see it, and you do something, it means more than words. Sammy smiled for the first time. Can I meet your puppy? Yeah, Rumi said. She'd like you. The sun had come out again in Rumi's world, not just in the sky, but inside his heart. Everything felt brighter now. Miso, the little puppy, had brought more than happiness into his home. She brought change. A soft, powerful change. His parents were talking more gently. They smiled at dinner. His father even asked Rumi about his day, really listening. That had never happened before. But something even stranger was happening at school. People were noticing Rumi. It started on Monday. A boy in his math class dropped his pencil case. Everyone laughed when the pens spilled across the floor. Everyone but Rumi. He quietly knelt, helped gather the pens, and placed the case on the boy's desk. Then he smiled and said, happens to all of us. The boy looked confused at first, then grateful, thanks, Rumi, right? Rumi nodded. That afternoon, the same boy offered Rumi his ruler when he had forgotten his own. A small act, but it meant something. The next day, a girl was struggling to carry her project, a tall paper tower, into the classroom. Rumi rushed to open the door for her. Thank you, she said, her cheeks red. That was so kind. Later, during group work, the same girl pointed at Rumi and said, let's put him in our team. He's really helpful. Rumi's heart skipped. He hadn't asked for it. He had earned it, without words. By Friday, it became clear. Kindness was coming back. When he smiled, others smiled. When he listened, people listened. When he helped, help returned. It was like the world was a mirror, and it was finally reflecting something beautiful. That evening, Rumi walked home slowly, holding a flower he picked from the school garden. Not to keep, but to give. His neighbor, old Mrs. Camille, always sat alone on her porch. She was quiet and rarely smiled. Rumi had never spoken to her before. But today, he stopped. Hi, he said softly. This flower made me smile. I thought maybe it would make you smile too. She stared at him. Then, very slowly, her lips curved up. Why? Thank you, child. That's the kindest thing anyone's done for me in a long time. Rumi smiled. You're welcome. She looked at the flower. Would you like some cookies? I just baked them. That night, as Rumi sat with miso curled beside him, he opened the golden book again. Another glowing line appeared. What you send into the world returns to you. Kindness is the strongest kind of magic. He scribbled quickly in his notebook. Step 4. The world is a mirror. What you give is what comes back. Give kindness. Give help. Give smiles. He underlined it 3 times. Then he whispered to Miso, I think I'm finally learning it. At school, Rumi noticed another quiet kid, Lena. She was new and always ate lunch alone under the tree. Rumi approached her gently. Hi, I'm Rumi. Want to eat together? Lena looked up, surprised. No one's asked me that before. He sat beside her and shared his crackers. They didn't talk much, but they didn't need to. Their silence felt warm. The next day, she brought him a sandwich. This is my favorite, she said, placing it in front of him. You can have it. Rumi smiled. Thanks. They were friends now, not because they said it, but because they felt it. One afternoon, as Rumi passed the teacher's lounge, he heard someone calling. It was the janitor, Mr. Hashim. He was elderly, always tired, and always ignored. Rumi ran over. Do you need help, sir? Mr. Hashim was trying to lift a heavy bag. Rumi didn't wait. He grabbed one side, helped him carry it to the bin, and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Thank you, the old man said with watery eyes. No one helps me anymore. Rumi smiled. You help us all. Every day. The next morning, Mr. Hashim had left a chocolate bar and a note in Rumi's locker. Thank you for seeing me. It was a quiet Wednesday afternoon, the kind of day where the sky felt lazy and the wind whispered soft lullabies through the school windows. Rumi sat near the back of the classroom, gently petting the edge of his notebook with his thumb. The golden book was safely tucked inside his bag, like a treasure waiting for the next key. He had been changing. People noticed him now. But more than that, he noticed people. He had started seeing things he hadn't before. The way the new girl, Lena, looked down when others laughed. The way the teacher sighed when the class got too loud. The way Mr. Hashim, the janitor, sometimes paused in the hallway just to rest his knees. And now, Rumi noticed someone else. A boy named Zaid. He was loud and sharp-tongued. He often shouted in class, pushed kids on the playground, and rolled his eyes when teachers spoke. Most kids avoided him, but today, Rumi looked closer. When the class went out for recess, Zaid stayed behind, sitting on the windowsill, arms crossed tightly. He wasn't making jokes or causing trouble. He was quiet, and something about that silence spoke louder than anything else. Later, during lunch, Rumi saw Zaid sitting alone under the shade of the tree near the back fence. His lunchbox sat unopened. His shoulders were hunched. His eyes were blank. Rumi slowly walked over and sat beside him. Zaid didn't look up. Rumi didn't speak. He just sat. A full minute passed. Then 2. Finally, Zaid spoke, not in his usual sharp tone, but soft and shaky. My dad left last week. Rumi turned gently toward him. Sorry, he whispered. Zaid's lips trembled. People think I'm just angry all the time. But I'm not. I'm just tired of pretending I'm okay. Rumi didn't say, I understand. Because maybe he didn't. He didn't say, cheer up. Because it wouldn't help. He said nothing. He just listened. Zaid kept talking. About his mom crying in the kitchen. About eating dinner alone. About not wanting anyone to know. Rumi looked at him with gentle eyes. You can talk to me, he said quietly. I won't tell anyone. I'll just listen. Zaid looked at him, surprised. Then his shoulders dropped, like a heavy bag had been lifted. That evening, Rumi sat on his bed with miso curled beside him. He opened the golden book. This time, the glowing letters formed slowly, as if the book wanted him to feel every word. Asterisk. Sometimes, what someone wants most is not advice, or answers, or help. They just want someone to listen. Listening is love. Listening is powerful. Rumi's eyes filled with warmth. He wrote in his journal, Step 5. The magic of listening is greater than the magic of words. Silence can speak louder than noise. The next day, during art class, Rumi sat near a girl named Noor. She was quiet and always doodled instead of painting what the teacher told her to. Rumi leaned over. I like your drawings. Noor didn't smile. She kept drawing. But later, after class, she handed him a tiny sketch, a boy sitting beside a puppy under a glowing tree. She had drawn him and Miso. It was her way of saying, "Thank you for noticing me." He placed it inside his journal like a rare gem. That week, Rumi tried something new. When people talked, he didn't interrupt. When friends shared feelings, he didn't rush to fix. When Miso whined softly in the night, he didn't shush her. He sat up, pet her, and whispered, "I hear you." He started hearing things he had never heard before, not with his ears, but with his heart. One day, his teacher Mrs. Arwa stayed after class, looking unusually tired. Rumi lingered behind. "Miss, are you okay?" She smiled weakly. "Just a long day, Rumi." He sat at the front row desk and looked at her. "You do a lot for us," he said. "I try," she replied, rubbing her temples. "I just wanted to say, you're a really good teacher." She looked at him. "That means more than you know." Rumi didn't need anything from her. But she gave him something anyway, a smile so warm, it felt like sunshine on a cold day. The school was buzzing with excitement. The annual science fair was just a week away, and students were busy building volcanoes, solar systems, and robots. Rumi, now full of quiet confidence, had a new idea. Something he had never done before. He wanted to build a machine that would water plants with a gentle voice command. A kind robot, he called it, one that listens, just like he had learned to. But he needed help, a lot of help. So, he turned to the person everyone said was the smartest in school, Amira, the 8th grader who once built a mini windmill and powered a whole row of Christmas lights with it. He waited for her in the library, where she usually read after school. With a deep breath, he approached her table. "Hi Amira, I'm Rumi. I need help with my science fair project." "It's about," before he could finish, Amira looked up. "I'm sorry. I'm already helping 2 other kids. I really don't have the time." Her voice was kind, but her words were firm. "No." Rumi blinked. He had smiled, listened, believed, and now, he still heard, "No." It stung. He walked away slowly, shoulders heavy. Miso trotted by his side, sensing the shift in his energy. That night, Rumi lay in bed with the golden book open in front of him. For the first time, the book didn't glow immediately. It waited, as if asking, "What will you do with this, no?" Then, soft gold light returned, and letters began to form. Asterisk, even when your heart is in the right place, you may not always get a yes. A no doesn't mean you failed. It means it's time to grow stronger, wiser, or kinder. What you do after a no can create the magic of who you truly are. Rumi closed the book gently. A tear rolled down his cheek. Not from pain, but from understanding. He had tried. He had been brave, and that was magic in itself. The next morning, Rumi sat alone at the playground, sketching his project quietly. Then, he felt a tap on his shoulder. It was Sammy, a shy boy from the next class. "I saw your sketch. I think it's awesome," Sammy said. "I have some extra wires and buttons at home. Wanna build it together?" Rumi's eyes lit up. He had asked Amira and gotten a no. But he had still shown up. And that led him to Sammy. Sometimes the people who say, yes, are not who you expect, but they're exactly who you need. They both cheer. They had done it. Together. Without Amira. Without needing to be the best. Just by not giving up. The day of the science fair arrived. Rumi's robot stood proudly on his table, a little wobbly, but full of heart. Other kids had flashier projects. Amira had a tower that lit up with sound. But when the judges reached Rumi's table, he gently spoke to his robot, "Please water the plant." With a soft whir, the robot responded and released a gentle mist over a tiny sunflower in a pot. The judges smiled wide. But even better than that. Sammy smiled wider. That night, Rumi wrote in his journal, Step 6. A no is not the end. It's a bend in the road. If I keep going, something better might meet me there. He added another note in big bold letters, asterisk. You don't have to change who you are to get a yes. Stay kind. Stay true. The right people will hear your magic. Rumi stands by his window, holding the sunflower pot. Miso rests by his feet. The moonlight pours in, soft and silver. In the background, his voice narrates, I used to think I needed a yes to feel special. But now I know. Sometimes the greatest thing a no can teach you is how much magic you had inside you all along. The science fair was over, but something didn't feel right in Rumi's heart. Everyone had clapped. The teacher had even mentioned his project during morning assembly. Sammy had become a close friend. And yet, Rumi couldn't forget the look on Amira's face when she saw his project succeed without her. It wasn't jealousy. It was something else. Regret. Later that day, Rumi found Amira sitting alone under the school's old banyan tree. She wasn't reading or laughing with friends. She was just staring into space. Rumi hesitated, then walked toward her, Miso trotting close behind. "Hey," he said gently. Amira blinked, surprised. "Oh, hi, Rumi. I wanted to say something." She looked at him. He took a breath. "I'm sorry if I made you feel left out. I asked you for help because I thought you were amazing. But maybe I put too much pressure on you. I didn't think about how busy you were." Amira blinked again. Her expression softened. "No one's ever said sorry to me like that," she whispered. She looked down at her notebook. "I actually felt really bad saying no to you that day. I wanted to help, but I didn't know how to say it kindly. I was just overwhelmed." Rumi smiled. "It's okay." Really, there was a pause. Then Amira said, "Your robot was cool, by the way. Kind of silly, but really cool." They both laughed. And just like that, something magical happened. Not fireworks, not floating feathers, just a quiet healing. That evening, the golden book rested on Rumi's desk. As soon as he opened it, glowing letters appeared. Asterisk. The softest words can carry the strongest power. "I'm sorry" is not weakness. It is courage. Because sometimes, the key to getting kindness from others is being the first to give it. Rumi placed his hand gently over the message. He didn't just feel wiser. He felt lighter. Next day at school, Rumi was walking through the hall when he saw Leo, the tall boy who used to ignore him at lunch. But this time, Rumi didn't walk away. He walked up and said, "Hey Leo. I think I never said sorry for bumping your tray last week. It was an accident, but I should have said something." Leo blinked. For a second, he seemed surprised Rumi even remembered. "Oh, it's okay," Leo said. "I overreacted." "You play chess?" Rumi grinned. "Not really, but I'd love to learn." Leo nodded. "Cool. I'll show you sometime." And then Rumi saying, "I'm sorry," to a teacher for talking during a reading session. The teacher smiles and says, "Thank you for being honest." Rumi comforting Sammy after a disagreement by simply saying, "I didn't mean to hurt your feelings." Sammy's eyes welling up. "Thanks, Rumi. That means a lot." Later that night, in his journal, Rumi writes, Step 7. Sometimes the best way to get something is to give something first. And the best thing to give? A gentle, true heart. Even when it's hard, even when you're scared. He closed his eyes, whispering, "A sorry can open hearts faster than a demand ever will." And that night, the glowing feather floated back onto his pillow. And later under a starry sky, Rumi, Amira, Sammy, and Leo sit on the school rooftop, sharing snacks and laughing. Miso curls up beside them. They're different ages, different dreams, but now, connected. And all it took was the courage to say two simple words, "I'm sorry." A new week began, and Rumi felt something different inside him. It wasn't pride. It wasn't excitement. It was peace. He no longer worried if someone said, yes, or no. He no longer tried to make everyone happy. He just showed up as himself. And people noticed. And the librarian waves at Rumi before he even says a word. A younger boy in class asks if Rumi can help him tie his shoelace. The principal gently pats Rumi's back during assembly. He wasn't invisible anymore. But strangely, that wasn't even what he cared about. What he cared about now was being real. Some days past Rumi sat with the wise old man on the usual bench. Leaves danced around them, golden in the evening sun. Rumi leaned back. "Grandpa Hale, I've learned a lot." Grandpa Hale smiled. "I can see that. You've grown taller, not just in height." Rumi chuckled. But the old man continued, "There's one more thing you need to know." Rumi leaned in. "This world," Grandpa Hale said slowly, "has people who can sense the truth, and people who live by pretending." Rumi's eyebrows furrowed. Pretending to like someone. Pretending to care. Pretending to be someone they're not. And no matter how smart you are, no matter how good your words are, there's one thing you can't fake. Grandpa Hale pointed to his chest. You can't fake being genuine. The next day, Rumi was chosen to welcome a special guest at school. a famous author who had written books about kindness and empathy. Rumi rehearsed what to say. He practiced smiling. He wore his cleanest uniform. But when the moment came, something felt off. He looked at the author, an older woman with silver hair and wise eyes, and said, "I prepared a speech. But I think I want to just speak from my heart." The room went quiet. He continued, "You write about kindness. I didn't know what that really meant until this year. I used to think people only said yes if I had something clever to say. But now I know, people say yes when they see your heart is real." The woman's eyes glistened. After a pause, she said, "That was the most honest welcome I've ever received." Later that day, the golden book glowed brighter than ever before. Rumi opened it, and this message appeared. Asterisk. You can smile without meaning it. You can say nice things without feeling them. But people will always sense when you are real. And the greatest magic inside you is your truth. He touched the page gently, and a final feather, brighter than all the rest, floated into the air and disappeared through the window like a spark. And then as the sky turned purple, Rumi sat with his friends, Amira, Leo, Sammy, and others. The group was bigger now. And more open. Rumi didn't try to impress anyone. He just listened. He laughed. He was simply himself. And that was enough. Step 9. You can't fake who you are. You don't need to. People will say yes when your words match your heart. He closed the notebook and whispered, "Being real is the biggest magic." Miso curls next to Rumi as he sleeps, moonlight shining on the notebook. The golden book glows softly and then slowly fades, as if its job is nearly done. The sun rose slowly, casting golden light through the window. Rumi sat at his desk, his hands gently turning the last few pages of the glowing golden book. For the first time, there were no new words. Just a single, soft white feather lying on the final page. It didn't glow. It didn't move. It simply waited. Rumi picked it up and felt nothing magical. No voice. No sparkle. Just peace. Rumi flashbacks all his previous points and he whispered, "What now?" That afternoon, Rumi returned to the park. Grandpa Hale was already on the bench, as if he knew. Rumi sat beside him, quietly holding the last feather. Grandpa Hale smiled and said, "You've grown into yourself, Rumi." He asked, "So, does this mean I can get anything I want from anyone now?" The old man chuckled. "Do you think that's still the right question?" Rumi paused. He looked at the feather. He thought of all the yeses and nos he had received over the past weeks. He shook his head slowly. "No, I think I've learned something bigger." Grandpa Hale leaned in, and Rumi said softly, "It's not about getting what I want. It's about becoming someone people want to say yes to. Not because I ask perfectly, but because I care deeply." Tears quietly filled the old man's eyes. "Exactly," he said. "That's the last magic. The one no book can teach. The one you had all along." A week later, Rumi stood on stage. He was selected to give a short talk on kindness and courage. But instead of a speech, he held up a single, plain white feather. "This," he said, "reminds me of something special. A time when I thought magic was about glowing books and secret voices." He paused. "But real magic is something we all have. It's inside your heart. And when you use it, people listen. They smile. They open up." He looked across the room at his friends, his teachers, and his mom sitting in the back row, her eyes wet with quiet pride. "And sometimes," Rumi added, "you don't even have to ask for what you want. People just give, because they feel safe with you." Montage. Where everyone ends up. Amira opens her own podcast where she shares ideas from the rooftop group. Leo starts tutoring shy kids after school. Sammy writes comic books about the Kindness Club. Miso still follows Rumi around, his quiet, furry sidekick. Rumi doesn't need the golden book anymore. Because now, he is the book. Every time he smiles with honesty. Every time he listens. Every time he asks with empathy. He writes a new page in someone else's heart. Rumi wrote the asterisk, step 10 in his journal. The secret to getting anything you want from anyone is giving them what they need first, a reason to trust you. A reason to care. A reason to say yes. Because you made them feel seen. And later on Rumi stands at the edge of the school rooftop one last time. He opens his hand. The final feather, white and plain, lifts with the wind, floating high into the golden sky. He watches it go, smiling. Because now, he knows, the magic was never in the feather. The magic was in him. Thank you for watching all the way through. If you like, please subscribe, like and share, and don't forget to click notification button to get more videos like this.